Welcome back to Golden Ridge. Today we're filling in key gaps across the city and launching a full-scale regional bus system to finally connect everything. So let's get to work. So here we are back in Golden Ridge. Thanks everybody for your comments and support after the last episode. I am super excited about this new town. So there's a couple things I want to do today, and mainly I want to just finish out all of those empty spaces you see and fill that stuff in, and maybe address some of the stuff going on with that bypass rail that a lot of you guys talked about. But first, I want to look at this little neighborhood right over here. So as you can see, we filled in a lot of detail. We filled out everything around the mall we built last time, the little strip mall here. And I filled in some other spaces in the industrial area. But there is this row house district right behind our little mall and next to our movie theater. I wanted to move it as some kind of downtown residential stuff, but I didn't want it to feel too repetitive and samey or whatever. So I tried throwing in a bunch of different row house styles and even some single family homes, and it's just not feeling great. So I want to address that. And the other thing I want to do is point out this little row house district here that I built in that feels kind of like the kind of almost rental districts you might see in mountain towns. I've seen, there's hotels even that have these little one-off sections, but this is obviously a new development. So you can imagine that there was some old brick industrial thing here at some point and it collapsed, or they tore it down and they built this really kind of repetitive, but fairly upscale little townhouse district. So now for this, I think the first thing I want to do is the single family home thing is not working. I thought it might help with some variation and kind of some blending of styles, but it's just not working. So I think what I really want to do here is focus on our brick theme that we've got going on. And I think what a lot of that is going to factor into is using a combination of brick row houses, or at least row houses we can color in a similar brick, similar color to brick, like a red, and or mixing in some of the larger buildings that we've been using. So let's take a look at not Lumina, find it here, and we'll go to buildings and we'll go to, we don't want residents, and let's try medium here. And I think we're going to stick mostly with the Northwest, and like, that's going to be too big. I think so that's actually not bad at all. That I'm really liking. So let's throw a couple of these down. And are these basically exactly the same ones, a little taller? So maybe throw this one in kind of like that. And I think now, that one's not bad either. So let's try one of these over there. And that's a little big, maybe, but maybe not. All right, so let's start with that, and let's see if we can make these not so green. So that's just the trim. That is maybe the windows, and it's the roof. So maybe we can't change the color of these too much, but that's okay. They already have a decent color to them. I will get rid of that kind of green roof. That one's looking good. And then this one's just looking a little burgundy. Yeah, or pink. There we go. So we can just move that over to this side of the red, and probably, let's see what else. What's this one going to be? Blue. We definitely don't want any blue color. So you can change it a little bit, but you're just kind of influencing it as more than really changing it. So, but that's okay. That's already a little less purple, which I think is really. Oh, there we go. If we change the, is that going to help influence our color at all? No, not really. But that's all right. That's still a little bit better. Okay, and then let's hop over into some of the row houses. And I think we're going to stick with 3 deep, maybe. And we're gonna get, you know, fairly repetitive here. I think the row house stuff is one area where you can stick to being not all that varied and kind of get away with it a little more than maybe I'd been, I don't know, you know, allowing myself to or whatever. Especially these, you can kind of make the same color and they will feel more like one larger building. And then, let's see, we can kind of stick some of these over here. And let's see, that I think is feeling a little better. Let's try, see what we can do with some color here. It's interesting how the way that color can affect some of these a little differently. There we go, though. So that looks pretty good. And then that's just up there. That actually, I think we can just take the color out of. And then so we'll copy this and apply it across the board here. And I know before you guys are probably watching this saying, yeah, you can use this paintbrush tool. It's a little laggy and it does work, but I find that it's a little laggy and I'm always worried that the game's just going to crash and not, maybe that mod has no stability issues and it just that it lags a little bit, but I'm just going to err on the side of my game not crashing in this particular instance. So that works. I think the pink we're probably is feeling a little out of place, feels a little more like a kind of a San Francisco look, which is not quite what I think we want here. Tough to get too different, but at least it's not pink here. I think we'll stick with those being white, actually. And then if we can change this and make that a bit darker, it's still staying kind of pinkish, which is interesting. The hue influence that is, you know, it has. This one looks like it. There we go. I was gonna say that one may just be staying pink. And we can take some of that out and make that a little more orange. So I think that's off to a good start. We'll copy and paste this one to match. So I think that's feeling a little better, although I think it is actually still feeling a little dense. So I'm gonna get rid of just a couple of these and either leave that open or we can fill that in with some low density commercial. And then for this block, I think on one side of this we'll leave a parking lot, which will probably be this side. So we'll put, let's try going 4 deep here and just for some variation difference. I think a lot of these though, just you end up getting the yard, which we don't necessarily need. And I do want to kind of stick with the older brick looking stuff and away from the wooden. So yeah, I think we're going to stick back with the 3 deep. And let's see, just switch that around. And let's try a couple other ones over here. And we'll go 2 deep, I think, on this side. That one was still 3 I had selected, and just drop a couple of these in. And maybe we put in some commercial here. So let's take a look at, let's also just try looking at our slightly larger things. I think these are these are just too big. So let's look at commercial. And something kind of like this. I know, you know, we've used a lot of these and there are only so many of these smaller brick kind of buildings that we're making up this really most of this city with, and we've kind of run through a lot of them. But we're almost kind of filled with stuff, so I'm not too worried about getting any more repetitive than we've already been. But yeah, it's certainly not ideal. So we'll just kind of offset this a little bit here. All right, I think that already feels quite a bit better. And maybe we switch this guy off to the side. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's put that back, and we're going to use... Let's try one of the corner row house from this early row house pack here. I can never sort by it quite right. It would help to be in residential. So these are the UK ones that I think probably won't feel... Although... That's not, you know, it mixes it up. It feels a little different, but I think that's okay. And then let's see if there's any low density commercial stuff. And actually what we might do is let's scoot these guys over. We'll just keep a little alleyway there, and then we can fill this in with some sort of low density commercial here. Something we're gonna have to stick with. Too deep though. Is there anything that kind of fits that doesn't look too modern? I mean, there is this guy. Yeah, we'll throw that in. There we go. I think that feels way better than it did before. It's a little more dense than we've got anywhere else, which definitely is noticeable. But I think once we fill this in with some parking lots and stuff, and just fill that out, we will. So, a couple people mentioned kind of going over some of the detailing a little more. So, I'll just do that here real quick. And I did it a bit on the roundabout or the our off-ramp here last time, but in terms of more of the urban stuff, so I'm just using a lot of these ground textures, surface decals, and the one I really like is this one for kind of cement, just kind of lots. It's got a nice kind of texture, a lot of variation, and it stays right under the sidewalk, so that fills in really nice. And then for kind of these alleyways, I like to use some of these thinner ones that have a little more detail going on, a little kind of a rougher look. And you can really get away with using the same one a lot without it looking too repetitive, as long as you don't do what I just did, which is, and you try to hide some of these really noticeable marks on them, like, you know, these like this dark part up on the top left. So if you can kind of hide that stuff, so it'll help a lot. And then just mix something else over the top of it a bit will also go a long way. Just kind of blend something like that will help. And just kind of mixing in a few different ones. We're going to want to keep this little area feeling pretty kind of concrete, industrial. You don't want to get... I fall into the habit of trying to use a different one every time, and that's when stuff does get a little weird, because it's like a little too varied. So try to find something and stick with it at least a little bit. And then it is tough because not everything kind of goes over the top of each other, but trying to find seams so you don't have such hard lines, I find really helps between areas. So just mixing in something. Yeah, and so I think that already feels pretty good. And we'll get some trees in just right here against this building. The oak is a tried and true, but I'm gonna stick with some smaller ones. So that feels pretty good. Get a bigger oak in this kind of yard here area just to fill in that courtyard a bit. And then we'll get rid of these trees, and we'll get a little parking lot in here, a little custom parking lot. So I'm going to, let's see, I think we can try something bigger like that. Let's see, does that work? Do we want it to be the dark on this side or get light, get darker as it goes back? Probably like that. Yeah, that'll work. And then I'm going to take Dome's parking slots and just throw a couple of these in like this and switch to the 2 and do the same thing on the other side. And just do the 1, and then we can use this invisible pathway here, turn off all of the clipping and drive that out until you see these 2 little white, these little green lines on the end that kind of end, and then you see the cars move because it's made basically a driveway. And because it doesn't make driveways, then I'll go through and use these G87 asphalt markings, and you can just kind of drag that over to create at least what looks like more of a driveway. However, because we were using this decal, it does look a little weird. So I think what I'm going to actually do is rotate this around and see if that helps at all. Not really. That still feels a little weird, though I do think I like it darker on the edge here. So let's see if there's something else we can use to bridge that gap a little bit. So something like this, or something a little smaller maybe. Just to kind of find some way to get rid of it. And if we can't, you know, like that little hard line is certainly not the end of the world, but it would be nice to try to get that feeling a little bit different. Oh, there's this I think will work really, really well. You can't, I mean, you can kind of see the difference a little bit, but it's kind of subtle. So that's not ideal. It's not the best. You can kind of see up here, but that'll work for now. And then for all of this, I think we'll go with a more natural ground here. And I really love this one, which is the Texture 55. This one just feels like old, dried, kind of dusty. I've used this a lot all over the place, but I think it doesn't feel repetitive, and it really feels like just an old lot. Like I think you can, I'm actually just going to leave that. I'm not going to do any fencing or any trees or anything. I think that looks like a very just kind of old, forgotten area that really helps with a lot of this part of the city that's just kind of been, you know, left behind a bit. So yeah, I think that all feels way better. And then I want to call out a few little detail things I did off camera. So we fleshed out this block a bit, have a big lot here that we'll need to drop some more detail in, got some shops going on. And then this is, I think is awesome. This is the Palmer Mansion. I'm not sure if this is part of an asset pack or a region pack or anything, but it's a really old, just historical looking home that is right in the middle of downtown of this kind of side that I think feels like an historic building that has been preserved by the county, and it could maybe serve as the current town hall, or maybe it's just a historic site that has tours. But I like that among all of this very industrial and dirt and brick and cement, that we just have this like green lot with a bunch of trees. It's clearly well kept. It stands alone. And I just really love this for some character and some story here. And then we've got a little bit more industrial stuff. We've got a nice restaurant out here, a little pub kind of on the edge of town that I think is nice. You can come sit out here and sit over the lake. We did get internet for our folks a little sooner than we did over in Blackfoot, so that's feeling good. And then I detailed out a bit of this kind of big apartment area. So it's a little maybe too varied. Like, you know, we've got a lot packed in here, but this again feels like a bit of a newer development. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is feeling pretty cool. So it seems like there was a lot of different phases of development. You know, these maybe were newer, but put up quickly. These feel really new, but also kind of cheaper. These feel like almost a little too nice for the area. So these are clearly the most recent developments, and there may be plans in the future to replace a lot of these with more of this kind of stuff. And people really love to just awkwardly stand on this basketball court. So cool, guys. And then we have these, which I think are from the Japan pack. I'm not sure if these fit, but I just wanted something different. I like the way that they stand apart and are completely wrapped in the road. But so yeah, so that's feeling all right. So now let's jump into some buses and some public transit stuff. Okay, so I do want to lay down a few regional bus routes, but before we do that really quickly, I do want to address the name of this town. So I did have oh my God, real quick. There is a massive accident out here. The accidents in this game are hysterical. Like, they go so, like, how did we get cars all the way from there? I mean, these are hundreds of feet apart. I mean, it's a great mechanic. I just think they're so extreme sometimes. Sorry. Anyway, I got distracted. Wait, no. There was an accident car all the way out there. All right. Anyway, so yeah, we want to get a name here. So I got a great comment from Posh82886 about naming the town Rock Creek. And I love the name Rock Creek. However, to me, that feels more like a small town name. And so I think what we're going to actually do is take Rockwell and name this Rock Creek, since it is literally built around the creek that we built, and this town is there because of it. And then name our big city here Rockwell, because I just think that Rockwell sounds like a bigger place, and Rock Creek sounds much more like, you know, a smaller place. So I think that makes a ton of sense, and it's a great suggestion. And so yeah, we're gonna roll with that, and we can just kind of bring this in here a little bit and get our name more centralized. And yeah, all right. So now buses. So we have this bus depot here, and I want to run a few bus lines, nothing crazy, just to some places that we don't have any train access to. So I think we can just use this small bus station, and let's see, is there anywhere downtown here that this can fit? Actually, it probably should be by this train station, but we are going to be coming back and dealing with this a little later. So probably should have thought, I mean, like, this feels like a great place for it, but we have this nice gas station here that we don't need. We have a gas station over here. I do know that lots of places have these kind of gas stations on two corners right across the street from each other, and this one is obviously feeling a lot dingier than this nice new one. But in the name of regional public transit, I claim this gas station. So let's go back to our small gas station, our small bus station, and boom, there it is. So I think that feels pretty good. It's right here by our hotel. It's right here, right off the corner of downtown. So I think this is actually a great place for it. And then let's just make sure it's sitting nice and flat on all this ground. Hopefully that doesn't mess up. We might have to put in a key wall there. So I'll just do that quickly here. Can we grab our picker wants to pick all the decals. So that, I think, is the 2-lane or 4-lane highway, and we'll replace, and we'll put a key wall on, I guess it's the right side here, like that, and that should drop us down. And then we'll do that along with just this. There we go. And then we probably don't actually need this iron link fence here anymore. And actually this is probably what should have been there to begin with, instead of the chain link fence. So we could probably just get rid of the whole thing, I think. All right, yeah, that feels better, and that's nice and flat, and that, yeah, actually I think this looks way better too. So sweet. All right, so we've got a bus station in here. So let's go all the way back over here to Blackfoot, and I've been eyeing this spot here because I do think in Blackfoot we are going to have the big, not the bus depot, but the larger bus station, and that's quite a bit larger than I remembered. Is there? Maybe it was for this one. No, I think I wanted to put the big one in here, but that is quite a bit bigger than I remembered it being. So I wonder, actually, we can just get rid of all that parking, and this will actually probably fit pretty well. Maybe that's how I had it planned out. I looked at this a while ago, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a great spot for it. But now it's not feeling like quite a great spot for it. But I think if we just get rid of all the parking out here and all that stuff we can keep, get rid of that, and we'll get rid of our surface. We can keep this parking in the back. This is definitely a bit snugger than I was hoping it would be, but I think we'll be okay. So we'll get rid of these trees. I don't know if we can get rid of these lines. Get rid of that stuff. Let's get this. So yeah, I mean, you can still see way too many of these lines. I don't know that we can get rid of those. So that is more of a problem than I remembered it was going to be. So let's take a look here. Let's get rid of this because I think that's not going to quite work. So none of this stuff is super permanent. So I think what we'll actually do is get rid of all of this. What is this? This is oh, that's the firehouse. Let's not get rid of the firehouse. And we can move this parking lot. If I can grab it under all the decals I put down. Oh, right there. There we go. Oh. And okay. Filters, decals, none for you. So this guy maybe we can put over here. Get rid of this surface. And we'll get rid of that. And then I think what we're going to do is just get rid of this road. And we'll keep our fire station there for now, but let's see. So bus station, yeah, that's going to fit. That's going to fit in there nice. So we can just kind of throw that in the middle there. And then we'll take our fire station and move that elsewhere. And I wonder actually if we even should be upgrading the fire station now that this feels like it's a little small. Do we have another one? I don't think we do. So actually let's get rid of this guy too, and we will... Is there a bit of a bigger one that can kind of fit? That's kind of a rural looking one. That's not bad, actually. So let's get rid of this whole parking lot. I think can go. And fire station. Or that's a little too industrial. It just feels like the wrong kind of fire station for... I feel like it would be a bit more spread out, but these just get real big. Ooh, this is interesting. The firefighting helicopter depot. This feels like a nice rural thing. We should place this somewhere out in the country. So we'll come back to that. Yeah, these just take up a ton of space. I want something sizable, but not... That feels okay. And let's rotate it to put it kind of facing on our main Alyssa Street here. And get rid of some of these fencing things that are out in the street. And yeah, that'll work for fire. And then for bus, does it not work in the middle here? Yeah. There we go. Okay, great. So we've got that in. Now let's go back to our bus stops and bus shelters. So, okay, so we've got bus in Rockwell. We've got bus in Blackfoot. So train hits Moffat. Train does not hit Donner. Train does not hit Rock Creek, and it does not hit our unnamed farm. So people had a bunch of suggestions for the town here. We will need a name for our little farming community, which, as you can see, I added a little bit more detail. I'm still working on it, but built out a couple more farms, and we'll continue with this. So I think having a bus station at this little kind of center here makes sense. So it says road required, but this is... Oh, it has to be on a sidewalk. Interesting. Or the side of a... Interesting. I wonder why it can't be on an alleyway. So maybe we put the bus stop like out here. You can take this little path. That's what the path can be for. And then we'll also need a bus stop here in Rock Creek. Or let's see. So if the bus comes into town like this, turns down the main... I think just this main strip is probably as good a place as any. So we'll just put one in, because this is going to be a regional line, so we really only need one stop. It can just come in, hit the stop, and then turn around and go back out. And then we will also need one, maybe a couple here in Donner. So let's do one kind of near our industrial area and by the big mall here. And then one out here in this residential area or kind of apartment area, and then one, let's see, we'll do one over here in this. So yeah, they can't go on alleyways, which is interesting, but we can put one here. So I'm kind of thinking that they would come out like this and go through, and then even though Moffett has train, and we are still going to give them some regional bus action. Moffett can probably get a couple. So I guess we should probably go... Oh, by the train station makes the most sense. So actually, I wonder if we don't do this one. Let's move this one over to the like right in front of the train station. And that did not move. So let's see if we can just do it this way. Yep, get that in there like that. And then let's see. I guess we should probably have some across town here, not so close to the train station. So if people are taking the train, they can then take a bus across Moffett over to this area. So maybe, let's see, we'll do something kind of by this residential area, maybe right about here. And I guess we are going to need this to go. This line, I think, is going to end up running both directions. So we'll get a stop across the street there. We'll get a stop across the street there. Across the street here. And I do feel like we should have something here. I just can't put it on any of these roads. So maybe have a bus stop on an overpass. Is that, I mean, that way it could kind of hit both sides of the highway. Why not? Boom. All right. So let's do some lines here. So bus line. Okay, so from downtown Blackfoot, we will go out of Blackfoot and into Donner and hit all of these. Okay, so that will be Blackfoot, Donner, Moffett. And let's see what yeah, we'll just keep this. Yeah, we're just gonna keep this the regular bus for now. So that, oh, I misnamed the, what did I, oh, what did I just label? I labeled something that was wrong. So we'll just do this again. So we'll call this actually just the Blackfoot inner loop A for going one direction, and then the Blackfoot inner loop B. And then I did not, oh, Blackfoot inner loop A. So that should get those two lines up. Great. Okay. So now let's get ourselves another line here, and we'll go with not that terrible green. And this one I think we'll do, so let's see, let's get in here. We'll do Blackfoot to farm name to Rock Creek to Rockwell. And then I know I said these were only going to go one way, but I think they are going to have to go back because people might be wanting to go the other directions. So we'll get that in here. And did that not stick? It did not. Okay, let's try that again. So Rockwell, Rock Creek. Oh, and I have to do it again because I forgot to put our second shelter, second farm shelter, which we'll do right there. All right, that should do it. So third time's a charm. Rockwell, Rock Creek, farm. And actually, I feel like maybe this one only comes to here and doesn't go into town. And you can transfer, because I feel like that makes a little more sense than... Yeah, we're going to do that actually, because there's no reason you would... We don't need two buses going from Moffett into Blackfoot. And I don't want to bypass Blackfoot completely, because if you were trying to take the bus from the farm or to Rock Creek to Moffett, you'd have to go into Black Creek and back, or Blackfoot and back. So yeah, let's not do that. And then in back to here. Okay. So we will call, let's see. We will call this line the Golden Ridge Rural Loop. And then we did end up... No, that works. Okay, that works. And then what I also wanted to do was have another one that will be... Oh, that one I don't want actually to use... I wanted that one to use the regular bus, and then this one that we're going to make now, which is going to be the Rockwell to Blackfoot Express. They're just gonna, that's gonna be the only way that it goes. Oh, that's the wrong road. Oh, I need to change the color on this one. So that one, details, and this one will make this one kind of a reddish orange. And this is going to be the Rockwell Blackfoot Express. And no current vehicles available. How many buses do we have out? 25. Good Lord. Why? I guess, let's see. For the regional, we probably only need a couple for that. But we do not need 15 buses for the Golden Ridge, the rural loop. No, we need like 7 apparently is the minimum. So yeah. And then how many buses did we end up with? For the Rockwell loop, 4. Okay, that works. And for the inner loop, 5 probably works. So that should leave us with some extra buses, right? No? Oh, returning. That seems like way too many buses, but that's okay. We need to fill this area up anyway, so we might as well get them in where we can. That's not going to delete the whole thing, right? Okay, good. I think that was something that they patched in, right? Where you can delete the sub-buildings without deleting the whole building. So we'll just kind of place those on top of each other and... Oh, can move it, not grab these sub-buildings. They can... Oh, no. No, it can't. All right. Interesting. All right, so let's try that again. Oh, that's kind of a bummer that you can't move them, but I think we can maybe... I guess we can probably be better across the street, to be honest. Let's see, how many does just one of these add? 10 more buses. So that's okay. Yeah, I think I just don't like the way those are fitting. So we're going to put these across the street here. And we can fit in both of those right there. So we'll have our little kind of bus whole little bus hub here going on. Wish it was a little more self-contained, kind of in one thing, but I think that's okay. Okay, sweet. So now we should have plenty of buses. All right, so we have some great looking bus activity here, and I think that that bus is gone. I think that our color schemes are a little much. I think let's just tone them down a tad bit here so they're not quite so there. That's a little better. And looks like that yellow bus might be gone for, there it is. That's not as bad, but I still think we can just a little darker, a little less desaturated, I think. There we go. All right, so we should be good on buses. You can get from Blackfoot all the way around Donner and Moffat. You can get from our farm area, Rock Creek to either Rockwell or Blackfoot, and to Moffett. And you can get directly from Rockwell to Blackfoot. I do think let's also do a couple of local buses just around Blackfoot itself. So bus route here, and we have our first bus coming in, so we'll just stick this guy here, and let's go with, so we've got blue, red, and orange or yellow, so we'll go with kind of a retro-y looking green. And I guess we'll need to put down some shelters first. So if you come into town, you get to your bus stop here, you might want to make it out to the hill area. So we'll get a couple of bus stops there. So then you would come in and let's see, we'll get something kind of right around here. We'll certainly want some stuff going by the train station, obviously. So we'll get in some right there in front. So we've got something kind of going like this. And we'll get something kind of coming out by, let's see. Probably no need to worry about these industrial or these office parks. Not that people wouldn't take the bus, but if you think of these as kind of office jobs, people have cars and there's plenty of parking. So I think we're going to go just kind of right through, probably not on our main street here. I think that is a little too crowded, but we can throw one down right about over here, I think. Sweet. And then we'll get our bus line coming in. And we'll just have kind of a city loop here. Oh, let's see. So maybe we'll end up moving those, I think. So let's do that real quick because I don't want to have, I thought they would come up and make there, but let's take these and just scoot that onto this block. And the same with this shelter as well. There we go. That's better. And then we'll go just the other way. All right. So now we've got our town loop. And so we will call this the Blackfoot Town Loop A. And the Blackfoot Town Loop B. All right, so I think we're sitting good with some bus stuff going on, and we've got some activity, and we got a new firehouse, and that's all feeling great. Okay, and then back here in Rockwell, we just have a bit of areas that are still not filled out, and I want to get this main part of Rockwell really locked in and filled out. So I think we have most of it going. I swapped out a couple of buildings and got a few other things in, and overall I think this is feeling really good. I'm not super sure what to do up here. If I've got a few things laid down that we could do kind of this more modern row house thing, but are these kind of houses really going to be right on the highway? Kind of got some more high-rise stuff that kind of makes sense. And then obviously we have this industrial area that we are going to keep because I really like it. And I love this old derelict bus that's just kind of buried in all that. I think that's awesome. But yeah, I'm just not totally sure what to do with this space. So, but all this stuff, I do want to get figured out here. So let's take a look at some options here. Okay, so for starters, I know we were kind of trying to avoid a school. Okay, for starters, I know we were kind of trying to avoid a school in the kind of downtown-y part of this area because it just felt really industrial and none of the buildings quite felt right. But I do think that this, shockingly, the North American Northeastern building, which we've got a ton of, I think this building is just awesome and totally fits in. It might, it doesn't even look like a school, so it can be a school. It can serve education for the area, but it doesn't have to look like a school. So I actually think this is just going to fit in perfectly right there. And I don't know. Yeah, we can. Oh, we can. Say if we can make this a little more red, that might be kind of nice. Whoop. Just a little more kind of that orange, kind of red, and then I think those other colors, do we want to make this a little whiter maybe? Yeah. That is an awesome building. I've been sleeping on this one for sure. So this can be used for all kinds of stuff, even as a school, but it looks like an apartment building or even an old warehouse or something. So that is awesome. And then I also want to, for the same thing we kind of did with the row houses over in the other neighborhood, I want to kind of mix some of these up a bit and get some of these kind of San Francisco-y ones out of here. So, and probably here too, just these little ones. I just think they don't fit super great over here now that I've kind of been thinking about it a little more. So we can just kind of squeeze those in and we'll just get rid of the pink is just, I think, not quite working. We'll just go with more of kind of the same color as next to it. So maybe we'll just go really kind of desaturated like that. That'll work. And then for these, let's mix in some commercial from probably the Northeastern pack. Yeah, this one we've used a ton, but it fits so well on corners. That one fits in nicely there. And then I think we will scoot. Let's see. We'll scoot these over here. This can be kind of a lot area. And then back here, I do want to throw in maybe some mixed, something a little bit bigger. That's nice. Let's actually get an alley in here so that we can break this up a bit. And I'm actually going to throw that in and we'll get rid of these crosswalks. And so let's see, that's a little big. Of course, now that I throw that other one in, that's actually not bad. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll throw one of these in here like that. Well, these little mixed ones are actually great. So we'll put one of these on the corner and then a couple of these back here. And then for this, actually, let's move this one around and fill out this spot here with this old building. And then for this corner, we can, that's a little big. This was the one we had. I think it was this one, just in a different color. Yeah, I wanted to, because we get a little small in this block, and I kind of want to build it back up a bit. So let's rotate this guy to the side, and then we can scoot. I do like this little, just wanted to scoot some of this stuff over a bit. Let's actually just get rid of this because it's already inside of the big one. And we'll get that over. And I think we'll actually get rid of that one too. That way we can have some space in between some of these, which I just really think helps. We'll keep those all close and have some space there. That's good. And then I think also these blocks are just feeling a little weird. So let's get rid of this. We'll move this big one over and see if there's something else we can put in here. Is that something we like? I don't want it to feel suddenly like it just gets tall again out of nowhere, but yeah, I think we do. I think we do like that. So let's get rid of this. Yeah. So that'll work really nice. And let's move this back as much as we can here, and we'll tuck it up on that one. So that's looking good. This is all looking good. And then this just needs some surface detailing. And let's see what else we can get in here. I'm going to look for some stuff and throw it in here and go ahead and detail these surface areas up, and then we'll check in a minute. Okay, so we got a lot of this detailing stuff done. We finished out these blocks, got this area up over here looking better, which I think really looks awesome. I love these, if you haven't noticed, just like these open lots with bushes, and the graffiti I think is great. We still have to finish out a few things over here, but I have a larger project that I want to do here next time, so we will talk about that. I'm not sure how I feel about all of this whole road situation and tracks, so I want to try to condense this a bit and figure out this bypass track thing, and so I need to noodle on that a bit. But for now, we're gonna leave it there, and next time we'll look into that and then get our big featured mill here, which we've kind of put down and ignored. We'll get that all laid out and detailed up, and then we can feel pretty good about having Rockwell close to done. So thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see everybody next time. Bye.